It looks like Usher is finally ready to spill the tea on the real things that happened when he was with Diddy, and the reality is more heartbreaking than anything we could have ever imagined. There have been reports for a long time that Usher allegedly saw some unfortunate things when he lived with Diddy back in the 90s, but he has kept his lips zipped over the allegations. Ever since Diddy got exposed by multiple people including Cassie Ventura, and with Diddy set to go to trial in just a couple of weeks, there have been rumors among fans that a couple of celebrities including Usher might be called on to testify against him. Now, we don't know if Usher is going to testify, but it looks like he might finally be willing to reveal what happened to him back at Puffy's camp. And heads up, it does not sound good. So, what does Usher have to say about this? And did Diddy really French kiss Usher on the mouth when he was only 13? Let's break this down. Usher's journey in the music industry started at an incredibly young age. L.A. Reid recognized his talent early on and signed him before he even became a teenager, which speaks volumes about how long he's been in the game. Usher has always had great pipes. He could sing from the time he was a kid. But things took a turn when he hit puberty. As his voice started to change and crack, Reid began to second-guess his decision. He even considered dropping Usher from the label altogether. Determined to prove himself, Usher persuaded Reid to give him another shot. Instead of cutting ties, Reid decided to send the young singer to live with his close friend Diddy. At just 13 years old, Usher was put under Diddy's wing. But it quickly became clear that this was no typical mentorship. Diddy's world revolved around non-stop partying, and Usher was thrown into an environment that no child should have been a part of. Exposure to that lifestyle at such a young age was anything but appropriate. What makes things even more interesting is that Usher has mostly stayed tight-lipped about his time living with Diddy. He rarely speaks about what those years were really like, almost as if he's deliberately avoiding the topic. However, during an interview with Howard Stern a couple of years ago, he let his guard
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was. But I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand.
Down just enough to give a glimpse into that chapter of his life. Needless to say, what he revealed was more than enough to raise some serious red flags. At the time, Usher didn't really go into detail.
Yeah, I had
what
like
a life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
Details about what happened to him with Diddy, but he did say that he would never let the same thing happen to his kids. And that's how we know that he saw and went through some pretty bad stuff. The first time Usher hinted at what he went through with Diddy was during an interview where the topic unexpectedly came up. He was clearly hesitant to share details, and even the interviewer picked up on his reluctance. It was as if he was carefully choosing his words, trying to say just enough without fully exposing what really went down. The interviewer noted that Usher became surprisingly restrained. "I want to save some stuff for my book one day," he said. "I'll put it this way, there was a lot of sex. And I know y'all remember that viral clip where Diddy casually mentioned that he and Usher used to sleep in the same bed. Like, sir, what?" The way he just threw that out there.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flake.
Hey, for nobody else with you, you take your turn, boy. I see you. Like, doing Vegas. You were in the kitchen, eating all my cereal. Man, you doing Vegas in a pink suit.
Like it was normal, had everybody side-eyeing him. Usher, on the other hand, looked uncomfortable as heck, and you could tell he did not want to go down that road. That little moment alone had people revisiting all the whispers and side comments about what really went on during those years.
So what was in Kim's book? You want to hear it? Here it go. Now, I cannot confirm or deny what's in this book, but ain't nobody fit Natasha K. me. So in this book, it detailed his relationships with men, footage of those encounters. It had the names of the men he slept with, a disease. Allegedly, Diddy giving Usher a disease.
Allegedly, Usher contracted herpes from one of those wild freak-off sessions when he was just 15. Now here's where it gets even messier. Word on the streets is that Kim Porter knew about this and was planning to spill all the tea in a book she was working on before she passed away. This actually tracks when you consider Usher's legal history. He's been sued multiple times for allegedly exposing women to herpes without informing them. One of the most high-profile cases involved Laura Helm, who hit him with a massive $20 million lawsuit, claiming he put her health at risk during an intimate encounter. Fortunately for her, she later tested negative for the virus, so she dodged a serious bullet. But that didn't stop her from pressing charges. She argued that regardless of the outcome, Usher had recklessly put her in harm's way. And honestly, he had a point. Just because she was lucky enough to walk away unscathed doesn't mean the situation wasn't dangerous. This whole situation was turning into a full-blown scandal, with Usher facing intense public scrutiny. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, Laura Helm suddenly dropped her lawsuit. No explanation, no warning, just poof, gone. And you already know what that meant. Whispers started flying that Usher probably slid her a nice little payout to make the bad press disappear. But wait, because the drama didn't stop there. 2 more women came forward with lawsuits. Both accused Usher of recklessly exposing them to herpes without informing them beforehand. One of them, who chose to remain anonymous, actually tested positive for the virus, while the other, though testing negative, still had major concerns about her health. According to rumors, Usher allegedly got involved with one of the women, Quantasia Sharpton, right after she turned 19. Now she's worried about the long-term health risks for both herself and her child. And let's not forget about the anonymous Jane Doe, who also took legal action against him. But before things could get even messier, Usher settled for a cool $1.1 million, which only added fuel to the speculation that he's been throwing money around to keep this herpes situation from completely wrecking his reputation. And now, the streets are out here connecting the dots, saying he might have gotten the virus from Diddy in the first place. And get this, the feds have been watching Diddy for years. The FBI has allegedly been keeping tabs on him for at least 11 years over claims that he's been assaulting multiple young boys. 11 years. That means this isn't some new development. This has been brewing for over a decade. And yet somehow he's managed to keep it all under wraps. But with everything that's been coming out lately, it looks like those skeletons in his closet are about to come crashing down. According to a court filing from 2013, during a debriefing session with federal investigators, music manager turned kingpin James Roseman was reportedly questioned about the preferences of
How old were you when you had your first kiss? And who was it? That's a sweet one we'll end on.
How old was I when I had my first kiss? That I actually intended to have.
Now wait a minute.
There was a couple of,
Okay, well, you know what? That one's stupid. It's out.
Sean Diddy Combs was having intimate relationships with underage boys. While the identities of the alleged victims haven't been made public for their protection, a few names have been floating around in connection to the case. And one of the biggest names being whispered. Now, nothing has been confirmed, but given what we already know about his time living with Diddy, the speculation isn't exactly coming out of nowhere. Usher came super close to talking about what really happened a couple of days ago when he went on Keke Palmer's show, and she asked him about his first kiss. It was pretty smart and tactful of Keke to quickly change the topic, because she probably realized that it was about Puffy's camp and that Usher was traumatized by it. So much respect to Keke for. As for Usher, I hope he finds a way to tell his truth, because many of us believe he is a victim of abuse in the industry, and his story deserves to be heard.